Hey, come on in, hang out for a bit. Let's have a talk. Let's have a real talk. We're going to be doing a lot more sessions like this. This is going to be a little bit different than what I normally present here, but it is something that is at the core of BroadCoven, which is to help people be supported and build community as we face some pretty monumental changes in the world. And I really wanted to bring this in tonight because I feel like it's at the forefront of everybody's awareness right now. I don't want to skate around it. I don't want to just dive into the more magical side of things, although I do feel like that is something that gives us a lot of support at this time. We have to look at the real stuff going on in the world and figure out how to navigate that together. We're all going through a lot of growing pains. Astrologically, we got Uranus revisiting Taurus, so you know what that's all about, okay? We're going to start to bump up against those places that have us looking at the way we view our current security, how stable that is, bumping up against our ideas of what is foundational in our life. Are we getting our worth? Are we being valued? We've been in this position before. The intractability of Taurus in relation to change is quite a bit to navigate. And it's coming in right at this time as the world is really in upheaval, okay? So this is going to be a little bit challenging. And of course, we are going to be moving into that retrograde energy in general. So this is a time for review. But it's the time to review, to really get your bearings and figure out your next moves. We are going to be required to take action, and the boxes are being broken down. So previous structures we've relied on, we can't rely on those things anymore. We need to think of new ways to move forward and how to bring things together. So what I really wanted to talk about to open up is what's going on with people about to lose their food benefits because of the gridlock going on politically. But I also want to really touch on what I feel is the unspoken component of that. First, I want to share my personal experience. I don't rely on any government assistance. I personally do not want to be on the government's tit at all. I feel like that's of the utmost importance and empowerment at this time to be able to stand in my own strength and position and figure out how to navigate that without any assistance from the government. Because I feel if the government's proven anything, it's that we can't rely on the government, okay? Now, I did receive assistance when I was young, when I was a child, when I was growing up. In our household, we were really broke, you know, and it was really difficult to make ends meet. And my parents did rely on food stamps at that time. They didn't have an EBT card back then. And, you know, there was a whole lot of stigma that went along with using those benefits. I know because I often, as a kid, would take them to the store to buy groceries. And I stood in line for that government cheese. If you know, you know. It's like the day glow orange block of cheese, and it'll get you through some tough times for sure. You know, went to food banks, all that. Now, were my parents irresponsible? No, my parents were really hard workers. My mom worked 2 jobs, you know. She worked as a CNA, and she also worked at night. Doing more work. You know, she had retail jobs. She had all different kinds of ways that she earned income. She was never one to sit around lazy on her butt, just feeding off the system. My dad worked in construction. Construction has up times, down times. He also gigged at night. He's a musician, you know. And they did whatever they had to do, you know, to make sure we had a roof over our head and food in our stomach. But you know, there were times when it was really lean, and there were times we did go without. There were days where we didn't eat anything at all. And so I know what it's like to live in that reality. I know what it's like to have to do without. I know what it's like to feel like no matter how hard you're trying to get ahead, you feel like it's always sliding back. So it's very disconcerting to hear the sort of narrative around people who are needing this kind of support to navigate this territory, especially with the rise in the cost of living. I don't think anybody should be judging anybody else that they have not walked, a mile in their shoes. We also have to be aware of some of the stuff that's being put out on TikTok, where it really is marginalizing certain groups of people and talking about we're going to go and we're just going to take what we want. And, that doesn't represent everybody, okay? And it's important that we understand the way that those psyops roll out too, to condition people to look at an entire group of people in a specific way. So you can start to view them as the antagonist, or you can view those people as being disposable, the problem, and that's not what it's about, okay? But I do for a minute want to speak to those people that are of that mindset, I'm just going to go and take what I need, that there's other resources available. They may be humbling resources, but there's a need to be grateful for what is available. Everybody out there is really struggling right now to make ends meet. There is no such thing as job security. Now more than ever is the time, and I think this is the point that most people are missing. Now more than ever is the time when we do really need to come together as a community and make sure that we're showing up for each other, doing what we can to support each other. And if we pull together as a community, there's a lot of heavy stuff going down here, yes, man. And this is just the start. People really need to understand this, that we're just at the beginning of this process. And I know people want it to be done, but it's not going to be done until it has served its purpose. And that's to bring about a complete revolutionary way of moving through the world. And a lot of it means getting back to the basics, things that we strayed away from here. So I think that the gem, you could say, that's hiding out there in the cloak of all this heavy unknown territory that we're moving through, is that it makes us reconnect. It makes us reconnect with our community, with each other. It makes it so we have to look at how can we cooperate, man? How can we pull our resources, our energy together to make sure that we're all provided for, all taken care of? Because as things continue to roll out, you're going to see that this sort of every man for himself mentality, it will be the thing that will be our undoing. We have to learn how to come together. Together, when we unite together, we're very strong. But when we're divided and we start marginalizing different groups of people and labeling them because of some BS we see rolling out on TikTok, or because of, some sensationalism crap that's put on the media to not only marginalize groups of people, but on top of it, put you in a fear space where now you want to just be a shut-in. Now you don't even want to go to the store because what if somebody jumps me for my groceries? Okay, I want you to think about that. That's going to make everything tank more. There's going to be more people losing their jobs because they're not going to be able to keep doors open at these places if people don't feel safe to go out and shop. So I want you to really question everything right now. Question everything. Because whatever you're seeing put out there in the media, and yes, it's on social media too, whatever is prevailing, the algorithm there, it is programming you to have a certain view. It is. And you need to really see through this, question everything you're seeing. It's interesting because I've been seeing a lot of political, yes, just it came out just as I was going into it. I've been seeing a lot of political smoke and mirrors too, a lot of videos coming out where it's politicians talking. I'm like, wait a minute, is that AI? That feels a little off. I know you all know what I'm talking about. That feels a little off, okay? So do be aware that whatever we have access to, it's what they want us to have access to. You need to really exercise your critical thinking here and lean into your heart and what feels right. And if you lean into your heart and what feels right, it's going to take you back to the simple, basic, core, golden mean of what it means to be a decent human being, which means you're grateful for what you have. You're willing to work hard for what you got. You show up for other people in need, and you give in whatever way you can, and you just continue to move on the good red road through life, and you don't try to take advantage of people who are in a disadvantaged position, and you don't look at somebody on the surface and you automatically think you know their story, you know where they come from, you know what they're about. Because I'll tell you what, when I was a kid and I received those benefits, it was how I ate. And I had no control over that. Okay, so think about how many children are receiving these benefits, how many veterans receive these benefits, how many people that are not able to work receive these benefits, how many elderly people receive these benefits. And stop making assumptions and don't buy into whatever you're seeing spun out there, because it really is just smoke and mirrors. It really is smoke and mirrors. And for those of you who are of that mindset, like, I'm just going to go, I'm going to take what I want, you're screwing everybody. You're going to screw yourself, and you're going to screw everybody in turn. And that's not the way to move in this climate, because I'll tell you what's going to happen. You move like that, you're doing exactly what they want you to do. You're playing right into their hands, and you're going to give them every reason, and the people will support it. You're going to give them every reason to clamp down, and then everything's going to go down. Do you understand? Everything is going to go down. Everything's going to be shut down. Everything's going to be locked down. Now's the time to come together as a community. Now is the time to make your connections. I know that everybody is really upset because the holidays are coming through right now. It's not good news for anybody. It isn't. It's not good news for anybody. And with the holidays coming around, now is the time to get ahead of the curve. We need to come together with our friends, with our families, with our loved ones. For those of you who go to church, get together with your congregations, talk. How can you potluck? Or how can you be a part of helping those who are in need if you are in a position where you have some advantage, where you are able to do it? Do you have stuff that's been sitting in your cupboards that's non-perishable that you're never gonna frickin' eat, that you can pass along to a food bank? I also think that this is an opportunity for all the individual states to show up for your citizens. What are you spending your money on? Corruption is not just on the highest levels. It goes down in your state, and it goes down in your cities too. So let's hold some of those people accountable if you're going to play into that game. So I think it's good. I think it's good that the states look at where they need to make some cuts too and change things. And do I agree with the way money is being spent to fund wars? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But this is the territory we're moving through. So we got to figure out how to navigate it. And there's only one way to navigate it. And that's through sharing resources. And this can be sharing knowledge too, like sharing how to make a dollar stretch, sharing how to, spend $35 and ensure that you have meals to eat for weeks on end, things like that. I'm really good with that kind of stuff, so I'm happy to share some of that knowledge here. But I just want you to start thinking about how you can be a part of this change, because what you're seeing now, this is going to gather momentum. This is just the start. And it's not helpful for us not to look at that. It's not helpful to put our heads in the sand. But instead of looking at just the negative side of it, it is time for us to look at the side where it's like, we have an opportunity to get back to simpler times. We have an opportunity to get back to a place where we can look in someone's eyes and we can shake their hand and we know that we can count on each other. We have an opportunity to come together as a community and create a better way forward right where we're at. And right now, that's where the investment needs to be. Because when push comes to shove, the man is going to roll their agenda out. And if we want the keys to the kingdom, we need to take those keys back from the Hierophant. And we need to take charge here. Yes, because we're done being in the dark. We're done being overburdened. We're done moving through the world like this. It's just nothing but smoke and mirrors. We got to get back to what's real, okay? It's so important. We got to get back to what's real. So, this is like a starting from scratch sadhana that we're engaged in here. It's time to look at where we are wasteful. It's time to look at where we do need to cut corners. It's time to get back to what's truly essential, what's meaningful. It's time, if you do have a job, if you are generating income, that you start saving whatever you can. And don't think that saving aside $5 is not enough. It is. Decide where you can make some cuts, okay? And do what you can to find other ways to enjoy yourself, enrich yourself that don't involve you spending a bunch of money. Like maybe read a book, you know? Maybe, go out for a walk with someone and have a meaningful conversation. There's other ways that we can use our time and energy so it can enrich our mind, it can strengthen us, and it can also give us an opportunity to shore up in whatever way we can in the future. And if even to be able to offer more support to others as well. I like that. The moon back there on the rise is reflecting. It looks like a bindi. Lighting up Ajna, third eye chakra. Yeah, meditate a bit, okay? Get your head clear. I can't stress this enough. It is so important that you retain full independent thought here. Maybe tune out a little bit from the news. It's good to be informed, but don't inform yourself too much because there is a lot of manipulation there. Yes, the man is manipulating things right now. The man is what's in power right now, and it's up to us to actually sit in that position and decide that nobody is going to take over my independent thought. Freedom begins in the mind. It really does. Okay, so let's get some more details here. And if you do got a roof over your head, and if you do got food in your belly, and you do have income coming in, even if it's not where you'd like your income to be, even if it's not where you would like to be stationed in life, it may seem humble, but be grateful. Be grateful for everything, okay? Because there's a lot of people seriously struggling out here, right? Now, with the Page of Cups coming out here in the crossing position, I see it really is the challenge for the collective to start extending themselves in this way. And that's also quite purposeful. I mean, this is what came in 2020. We were encouraged to isolate. And so it's really difficult for people to remember how to connect on a meaningful level. And it's also difficult for people to trust others, okay? And this is because we have been put in this position where we feel like we constantly have to be on the defense because we don't know what is going to come at us. This is when we use our fire in a distorted way, in a controlling way, in an every man for himself way. This is when we rush forward without having a clear game plan. We rush forward impulsively because we feel heated, because we feel activated. And I'm telling you right now, this is not the way to go. For those of you who are feeling really angry right now and like you want to go over and you want to turn over the tables and you want to take what's yours, this is going to backfire. It's going to backfire. First of all, there's no foundation that supports that. It would be the most bonehead move ever, you know? Seriously. We need to start thinking of supporting our communities, and it's an inside job, okay? And it branches out from there. And start small, start where you're at, okay? You're not expected to change the world overnight, but you do have to think about how you can start making a difference and making a contribution. And even if that means just being grateful, okay? Just being grateful for what support you do have, that's a good start. Do look at what you need to do to try to get yourself stabilized and also still be an active member of your community, okay? It's so necessary that we pull our resources together, that we pull our energy together, that we pull our support together at this time, and that people don't feel any shame around saying, I'm really struggling, man. I need help here. I need support here, right? It's a safe space here for you to bring any of that in. Nobody here is going to judge you. And if anybody here does judge you, they're not going to be part of this community. Point blank, that's where I'm at with it. Now's time to get beyond petty concerns in the world, petty dramas, and really think about how we can show up together, strong, united, and building a future that really is in its grassroots stages right now. People don't see this. They don't see this. This is the initiation opportunity that's here, though, with the moon. There is the sun here hiding behind what seems so confusing and disillusioning right now, what seems so cloaked. This is what's hiding, like people can't see it. This is what's being transformed here, this sense of division, this inability to work together, this inability to see from somebody else's perspective, and letting differences in how people view the world or their personal spiritual beliefs, or how much melanin they have in their skin, or where they choose to go to church, whatever it is. This is what's creating more confusion, more disempowerment, and is providing exactly the kind of climate that allows these hidden forces that are moving in corrupt ways to gain more of a stronghold. But if we understand that through this, we have an opportunity to bring it back together, we really can turn this tide. We really can. We have this opportunity. We've had this opportunity before. We have this opportunity again. All right? So ponder this, okay? This is the sadhana. The sadhana is like a focused practice that enriches the soul, enlivens the spirit, and gives a focus that helps elevate the consciousness. So this is the sadhana for this week. We're going to call it starting from scratch sadhana, okay? I want you to think of where have you become a bit excessive, and how can you make something more simplistic, less complicated? How can you streamline? What non-essentials are you hanging on to? Do you have a bunch of clothes in your closet that you're never going to wear, but you're just holding on to them, hoarding them? There's people who could use those clothes. It's getting colder now. There's going to be more need for communities to come together and support. So really look at where you can streamline and where you can maybe start saving. And it doesn't matter if it's just even $1, man. Anywhere you can start saving, start saving. We do need to look at more of an economy where we work with currency and not digital. And that currency can even become a bit of trade and barter, all right? So this is when we need to start figuring this out. And maybe you figure that out within your social circle, right? You have a lot of talented people a lot of skilled people If you all start bringing your resources together and say, hey, if I give you this, can you give me that? You'll be surprised what needs can be met, all right? We need to get creative here. We need to think outside the box. So look at how you can streamline. Look at where you're not being grateful for what you have. Gratitude is the attitude at this time. Please, it's so important to be grateful for any assistance, support you have. And let me tell you, the more that you're grateful for it, you acknowledge it, I'm telling you, more will come, all right? And it also makes one a more approachable person as well, okay? So you'll be surprised what you draw to you and how you enter into more of a reciprocal flow when you are grateful. Yes, do you see? This is what opens the road with the Fool. This is the way forward. And this is when we stop looking down at what's not working or stop feeling sorry for ourselves. And we recognize that this is a really critical time here, and that we're all rocking and rolling through it in our own ways. And yes, some people are way more destabilized than others. So where we do have a little stability that we can share, let's find that generosity in our hearts and help another get a little bit of a leg up here. Let's not judge each other here. Let's understand that even people who may appear to be acting selfishly, they're a byproduct of the conditioning, of the programming. And, you know, it's important that we don't isolate anybody in this climate, and we figure out how to gently as well educate people so we can get this world back on track. Yeah, there is a lot that's imbalanced right now, but we have to understand where the imbalances come from. And this is how we work through those imbalances. We dispel the ignorance. We help people have meaningful conversations where they can see things through another's eyes, another perspective, and this is what moves us forward to transformation. And let me do a cut of the deck here to cap this off, because this to me feels really complete. Okay? But this is the key. I know it's challenging. When there's so much fear, this is when it is a fierce challenge to open the heart. But do you see, this is what's needed. It came out again with the Fool. This is what's needed to move forward, right? So let's see what we can do this week. Let's have that as a community focus here. What can we do this week to work from scratch, get back to the bare bones basics, and look at that really on all levels, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and certainly practically. And then from that new starting point, where do we have a little security, a little strength, a little support to lend, no matter how small? And even if it's just having a grateful attitude, okay, that is a really good place to start, right? It is. And no effort is too small. Let's begin there. Let's share resources, ideas. I'm going to be bringing more in right alongside my reads, okay? But I feel like more of this needs to come in. I did start up the channel, bringing in a lot of this. If you look on the Revolutionary Report playlist, you'll see quite a few reads where it's bringing in stuff along these lines. And I do want to get back to this because it's time to really dive back into that full force again. So I want this to be a hub where people can meet and they can feel seen, they can feel heard. We can come together as a community, we can share resources, and we can figure this out, because together, that's the only way we're going to find our way through. My heart's with all of you. We got this. We do. We got this. We can do it. We were born incarnated at this time for this specific purpose, and now it's time to rise to that challenge. Take care.